direction. And that's why it's so important to have a coach in your life, because it's someone who is, especially a coach who's been there, done that, has real results, because it gets right to the point and say, yeah, you know what, don't do this. And it reminds me, and I would like to know more about, I have a question about your beach mailer. Was that more on you, or was that more like, how did that come about? Because that makes a little difference there. Was that more like your heart's desire there at that moment?
Oh, well, I was just joking with you because we are, I don't know if you got my earlier mailer about how we're adjusting to the effects of the coronavirus apocalypse that we are going through.
True.
Financial effect that has happened on my family. And so my family is, I mean, for anyone watching, my wonderful business that I just told you all about that I spent 10 years building and built up is completely gone. I mean, it's just gone as of Friday. Friday, the calls started coming in, and April's my busiest month of the year, and I have no income for who knows how long. Talk about running on the beach and you don't know when it's going to end. I mean, like, we're all going through that right now. Like, when is this going to end, and how many more business shutdowns are there going to be? And on Friday, it started with, I just lost my first $1,000. And by the end of Saturday, it was like, I just lost my whole spring income, and it's not coming back. So that's what we're going through. And I'm starting to try to carefully tell the kids why we're eating rice and beans and why we're not turning on the heat, even though it's 50 degrees, because we are saving our electricity rations for when we need air conditioning in the summer. And it kind of helps. I've blocked out the whole entire world. You know, I'm not paying any attention. I'm working very hard to be optimistic and cheerful, given the fact that the entire bottom just fell out of my life. And Nathan says, I'm going to be at the beach. Shut up, Nathan. I don't want to know about your lovely life at the beach when I'm rationing my rice and beans. So I was just messing with it. That's what that was about. I was just messing with you about, yes, it is my goal to get to the beach. That was why we got into this. But for a funny moment, for the first time in my life, I'm like, I hope we have electricity in 3 months.
Right.
So there's some things have suddenly taken a little bit of priority over my goals of living on the beach.
True.
But everybody's in the same boat. All of my buddies are like, all my gigs are canceling. I mean, everyone in my whole industry, restaurant, tourism, entertainment, that whole industry is just wiped out. It's gone right now. Right. And who knows how much of it's going to come back when, and if, it is big. And, so I've been talking to all of them, about like, how are we going to get through this? And then, and I thought, and then there's Nathan sitting on the beach.
Right. And just so everybody knows who's even watching this interview, Sarah runs a face-to-face business, right? Her business is face-to-face, so she's in groups, she's face-to-face, so she can't do that right now. And this is a great time. What better time, as we've been talking about even in our trainings, to be a virtual remote real estate investor where you literally can be anywhere. And it's not everybody's going to go through the same situation maybe as Sarah has gone through, where it's like almost like she's being forced into it because of the virus. But sometimes that's actually a good thing, being forced into it. I know for me, it took me like 3 years to kind of get completely remote and completely virtual. It really took me a longer time because I didn't have anything pushing me to get there. It was just like, okay, I'll do it slowly over time. It'll happen when it comes, But sometimes when your back up is against the wall, you're like, okay, I just got to dive right in.
Yeah, and sometimes you get lucky and your whole entire income gets wiped out, and then it's like, well, what the heck? Lucky me. No, it's true. It really, this whole week has kind of been, it's just, it's been just shock of what's, and I'm not even paying I'm paying attention to what's going on globally, but obviously just the shock of what's just happened to our family. And then I'm the sole income earner in our household too. Let me make that. My husband works with me in my business, and so that's it. Like, our whole entire family household income is just gone for who knows how long. Until it's gonna be a long time, because it's got to get past the virus, past the worry, past the point to, like, a big part of my income is large corporate events, and it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be a while before the big guys are ready to get everybody on public, and who knows what kind of financial hit they're going to take. It'll be a while before they
Mm-hmm.
want to start funding stuff like this again. I mean, I don't
Right.
know. I mean, maybe it'll be 2 months, but it could be a whole lot longer. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying not to think about that.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, so like Friday, basically, we just started figuring out like how much savings do we have,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, how long can we last? And then,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, thank God this first deal closed like 2 weeks ago, which just did so much for my sense of confidence and just sense like this is real. Like this is
Right.
do this, we can count on it. If I do the work, I'm going to get the results. I can count on
Yeah.
that. And that
Right.
had a lot to do with it. And then the second one closed. I was terrified that it was going to fall through just because everything else fell through. I was like, oh,
Right.
who knows? What if my buyer also works in the same industry? What if he runs a restaurant? He's not going to buy land anymore. He's out of
Right, right.
But no, it did close, thank God.
Yeah.
And so that gave us some extra emergency savings. I mean, we had other plans for it, but now it's emergency savings fund.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so it's really funny though, back to your earlier point about singular focus, when a year and a half ago, when I decided to stop doing real estate and put all my attention into my other business, it really grew. I had the most profitable year that I'd had. We put it all into savings, thank God. And now, all of a sudden, that whole business is gone right as I was just starting to make tracks in real estate. And so I realized over the course of a couple of days, basically over the weekend, when I realized I can't go to work anymore, there's no work to go to, I guess I might as well just go. Now I have essentially have a singular focus on this land stuff. And it's really, I wouldn't have done that. Like I certainly wouldn't have not gone to my job, but now my job is gone. And so now this is what I'm going to be doing as my main focus until, that global coronavirus apocalypse gets, ends. So yeah, there's my story. If you really want to get motivated, lose your entire income, global crisis.
That's so true.
And go for it. So we'll have to revisit this in about 3 to 6 months and see if we made it. Or if I'm calling you from the beach, Nathan, please send rice and beans.
Oh my goodness, it's so true. And this is definitely a transition for a lot of people. I mean, if you guys can notice, there's like literally, this is a restaurant just down the road from where I live, completely empty. Normally, this beach would be full of people right about now. And I was telling Sarah earlier in a few messages that I can't even go to town. A lot of things are just shut down. My office is shut down. Can't get to it. So I just walk down the road and we're here at the beach. But although during these uncertain times, right, this is the part where we have to have that mental toughness. That's what I like to call it, mental toughness, where we need to, not only dive deeper into our business, but we have to have a mental toughness and we have to have a vision for what our lives are going to be. This won't last forever. Nothing does, right? So this won't last. This is temporary. And in these times, it's a great opportunity. We have to think a little differently about our opportunities around us, right? It's a moment where we say, okay, how can I get more creative about my business? How can I maybe get more creative about my offers? There's a lot of people right now. It's actually pretty interesting that this is happening because a lot of people right now are, my ear on the street and in the market is people are actually reconsidering of living in cities, right? So now they're thinking about relocating and moving out, buying a mobile home, living in a mobile home, finally maybe stepping out into this tiny home model for millennials. A lot of millennials are doing that. So this is not a time for everyone to retract, but it's every time for people to run in, right? It's to run in and say, I'm still at it. I'm still here. And you know what's so good about when people are confident and they run in? The people who are fearful on the sideline, they feel more comfortable with those people and they get attracted to them naturally. Just by human nature, the people want to be attracted to leaders. People want to be attracted to people who have confidence, and they start running towards those people. And so and this is for everyone, whenever any kind of tragedies in your business, whether it's a virus or whether it's a market correction or adjustment in the market, whether it's the stock market or the real estate market, it's whenever there is those times of things going down, for us investors, it's our time to get in more into the market and find those opportunities, because the best opportunities are created during the down markets, right? This is where, and I know we don't have so much of a big one right now in real estate. This is more affecting the stock market, but it definitely creates a great opportunity for people who are thinking about relocating, right? Maybe they're not considering living closer to the city. Now they're thinking of moving out, maybe finally getting away from more people and not being so congested, that kind of stuff. That's what I've been hearing from a lot of people, not only buyers, but even other people in the real estate industry. They're trying to, maybe not live so close to people in different ways. So those are just different things that brings up opportunity for in these kind of situations. So I wanted to share that with everyone and yourself, Sarah, because it's in these times where we do have to put on our mental toughness and get and have that vision. I think a lot of people, what I've seen in working with many people, and I've even done video trainings on this, is that vision board is so important. I was just talking to one of our previous interviews, Nick, who's done a great job at building his business. We just recently talked about vision boards, and I just took a screenshot, did a post about it. That sometimes when we can get so distracted or we can get depressed at our current situation, we can feel emotionally drained. We have to have a visual lookout to where we're going. We have to have that visual of where is it I'm going with this in 6 months from now? Where is it I want to be with this in 1 year from now? Whether it's our personal life, our finances, our business. If that vision board is not there, images of what exactly it's going to be, what exactly you want to do, maybe what exactly you want your finances to be, where you want to travel, all those things. If it's not there, then your brain's not looking for it. And I know this is not a moment for our, or maybe it is actually. I'll just share that I've always said that there's this natural gland in our mind. It works automatically. The reticular activating system, also known as the RAS, and that its only responsibility is to look for exactly what we want. And this naturally happens with people who are, if they have a new car that they're looking for, maybe they're looking at, I don't know, whatever, a Porsche, whatever kind of car they want. I'm not really into cars, but if they have their idea on a house or a car or something like that, or a lifestyle, a charity they want to give to, all of a sudden things start popping up. Like you said earlier, Sarah, you got singular focused on your business. All you thought about was your business, and all of a sudden opportunities and partners presented themselves. That's what the RAS does. It does it automatically. So when we have our vision, Sarah, you want to be on the beach one day? Get a picture and post it on your vision board. Whatever it is for you, post it in a place you can see it, because just like I told Nick, he was kind of surprised. He's like, wow, you have a vision board? And we started talking more about it. And I said, listen, I've had a vision board since I learned about it, which is probably around 19 years old. And I think that was like 2 weeks ago, right? No, I'm just kidding.
You don't look a day behind.
Oh, thank you. No, so when I first learned about having that vision board, it's so imperative to have, because I have to say literally almost everything I've ever put on my vision board has come true. And it's funny because there are some things you can have on your vision board that will stretch you. And you're like, wow, if I got that would be amazing, right? And it has those moments of, am I going to go for it? Or am I just going to retreat from it and say, oh, I just wish I could have had it, right? So it's so important to have that vision. And I share this now because now more than ever, especially in these times of uncertainty, right, of what's going to happen, the vision needs to be that much stronger. The vision needs to be that much stronger, that much clear. So I just wanted to share that because I know many of you who are watching this can glean from Sarah's own experience and what she's gone through and what she's done, and even during these tricky times of what she's going to do to get out of it. So Sarah, thank you so much for sharing your story, and your it's an inspiring story, and it's a growing story. And maybe in the next maybe 6 months to a year, maybe we'll revisit this and share. Like to hear some updates. I'd love for you to share any last words that you'd have for, especially women that are watching, or any of our other members, or anyone that's maybe still on the sidelines, maybe still watching, maybe they haven't really stepped in. Any words of wisdom you'd like to share with them?
Interesting. I had some thoughts when you were talking about the vision board, because I started making a vision board probably like when I was 18, back when I first heard about it.
Yeah.
And
which was a few weeks ago, right?
A few weeks ago, clearly. I've had 3 kids since then.
Yeah.
And okay, so I don't mean to say this, I hate to sound not inspiring, but many of the things haven't happened. And many of the things that I have gone through were things I didn't realize I was going to have to go through. That got in the way. Like maybe I had a vision board as an 18-year-old and kind of idealistic. If I could just create a great vision, it was going to happen. I had a lot to learn about myself, about self-discipline and my own focus. And then my husband and I both came from a lot of struggles in our childhood and our past, and we really had to deal with that. That became a lot more conscious effort to work through than I realized. And, kind of hesitate to say that, but then I kind of also want to just throw that out there, because I think a lot more people deal with personal stuff than when you see these like gurus, and then they some of them came from nothing, but some came from families with a business background, or some came from at least families that were happy and healthy and strong and could encourage them and had parents that believed in them, and that kind of stuff. And if you are really dealing with a lot of instability from your upbringing, part of my adult life was addressing some of that and realizing what was in my head and changing that. And we had a lot of wonderful things in our upbringing, so I don't want to say that if my family or parents ever see this. I have wonderful parents, but we just came from a lot of struggles, and so I think I spent more of my adult life than I would have thought, just dealing with challenges of being a happy, healthy, emotionally, mentally stable person, and raising healthy kids, and I think a lot more people struggle with that than we know. And part of it in our culture, maybe we think like happiness is going to be the house and the beach and the car. And then every time that I've lost a lot, which we've lost a lot, we've had catastrophes of sorts before. And every time I lost a lot, then I opened my eyes to all the wonderful things that I have right here. Like, okay, rice and beans are actually really good. First world problem, like gratitude for how much we really have, and how most people in the world have gone through tremendous struggles. So, but the thing, getting through the tough times, every time that bubble of here was that big dream on my vision board that burst, and I came right back to this very small circle, this little thing in my own home, and the smiles on my kids' faces, and the happiness and joy that we have in our family, and the immediate relationships that are really good. And I just like, God, I have it so good. If I never make a dime for the rest of my life, I have such a rich and happy and joyful life. And there's no amount of money that can buy that. And, while I was working on my first land deals, I ran into somebody over the holidays who actually, his parents are both very, very successful real estate investors. He grew up right now, he's kind of a trust fund kid. He never has to work another day in his whole life. And he has a lot of struggles. Like, I met this kid and I thought, here's a trust fund kid who could cross off every material item on anybody's dream board with no problem. And I would not trade places with him for all the money in the world. I have these incredibly rich, happy relationships. I have wonderful friends, and I've been through all these bumps and bruises, and like I'm going to get through the next one. And So I don't know, just to say all that, because I still have these visions, and it, you
Absolutely.
know, like I'm in this business because I want to get to the beach, and if I don't get to the beach, I have this great family. I'm going to have more than what a whole lot of people have, and so I look back and I'm glad that I invested in the right things in my life, like just joy and happiness and health, and maybe partly I had to go through that to get to this point where now I can focus on the money because I have all the other priorities in place. And some people can make the money and look back and they haven't dealt with whatever their alcoholism and their divorce and I know people like that. We all do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They can buy beaches and houses and cars, and they can't have a rich, happy marriage to save their lives, you know?
Right. It's so true.
I don't know. In some ways, it was like God was pulling all that stuff out from underneath me and saying, you're going to have the most important things first. And if you get that together, I'll give you an opportunity to have the other things. I don't know. Maybe it's just how I read it. But and it's funny. Like I said, the real estate, I dropped real estate to focus on my other business, and multiple things happened that opened it up and made it great. And now all of a sudden that other business is gone. And my whole income is gone, and I'm not panicking at all. I have this very calm sense that there's this purpose for it. And my husband and I are both in this together now. We're really getting into it. And we're played a Monopoly with the kids the other day. And they said, Mom, this is kind of like what you do at work. Said, yes, it is. We're going to play. I'm going to change the names on the boards to the names of the addresses of the deals that I just did. Like the kids are getting it. They're like, "Oh, what's your next deal?" And we homeschool our kids already, which is funny because now that's the latest global trend, thanks to the coronavirus apocalypse. Right, the whole world.
Sure.
Homeschooling for us is just like, woohoo! We're doing this, kids. We're running this real estate business together. Like, Mom, how's your next deal going? And we have this just great, fun team atmosphere in the house, which is what I wanted, and why I wanted to do this virtual business. Was so that I could have this kind of team feeling in my own family. But we really built up this great, happy team. And so even though we told the kids they're on rations, my boys actually like to study military history. And very ironically, the day after we found out we had no income, my son was literally studying a book about World War II and how they were rationing food in Britain because the Germans were bombing all their supply ships and they could not get enough food imported into their town. And they're like, look, Mom, the British could only have 1 egg and 2 ounces of tea and 2 ounces of butter a week. And like, food rations. And I'm so excited that you're reading this. We get to play this fun game called
let's try this game.
World War II food rations. We're going to pretend that the Germans have bombed our supply ships, and we're going to live off rice and beans until these real estate deals come in, kids. And they're like, haha, that's funny, Mom. And I'm like, oh, you think I'm kidding?
No, we're serious.
That's right. No, but so we really just taken this difficult situation, but we've gotten all of our interpersonal relationships to the point that we could have this kind of crisis and we've just gelled together in this happy, motivated way, and it's great. And another quick thing, this is going to sound like a plug for you guys, but it's actually not meant to be that way. Anyone who's watching, you were talking about how you get running and things are just going fast and you don't know what you're doing and you just run anyway. And it helped me so much to know that I could call Mike anytime. Because you are running, and the information is just coming at you so fast, like contracts, deals, and doing comps on land. I'd never done comps on land before, and somebody wants to know if I could do such and such or change the time on it. I had no idea. It's like running through. It's more like jogging through woods that have hiking trails. If you've ever done running like that, you're not running on a straight path on a track or along the beach where you can see what's ahead of you. You're running in this winding trail through the woods at high speed, and if you trip, you break your ankle, and there's stuff everywhere. Yeah. And so it really helped having Mike right there in front of me, like the leader of the trail guide. I don't have to know the whole trail. I literally only have to know 2 or 3 steps ahead of me. And I just did everything he said and just followed 2 or 3 steps ahead of me every way. And the trail twists and turns, and all this stuff happened. So anytime it turned or I didn't know, I just copied what he was doing or did what he told me to do. And so then when you said, hey, I want to interview about your success, I'm like, I don't know anything. Like I literally just did what I was told for 6 months. Yeah. Well, and now I have money. Yay! Yeah.
Well, you know what? That is a great example, though. You're like a lot of people, you know, can continue in their own device, their own mindset, and say, "No, I'm just going to keep doing. I'll figure it out, and it will work out." But nothing changes.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of value to that, and I appreciate that. And Sarah, we've touched on so many different aspects of this interview, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do this because I know it's going to inspire people. I know it's going to inspire people and people who are just even thinking about getting started even now. I know there's people even now during this crisis are like, oh, should I wait? Right? Should I wait before I get? No. You get started even now.
Yeah. Just get started. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Well, you still have a job, people. Get started on your side business and close your deals.
Exactly.
Most people aren't in the business. This thing, I'm just in that whole line of the economy that's just wiped out, and it just is. Me and that business, that restaurant owner behind you who probably had to lay off a whole bunch of people and might have to foreclose on that building, and it's really painful for me to see that. And I see that happening in my city and stuff, but you know, I know this reminds me of. I went through this similar experience at 9/11. Honestly, in this industry, like the day after 9/11, everything just stopped. And nobody knew what to do. Everybody was shocked. This was this unprecedented thing. And my industry got wiped out. All the fun stuff stops. When there's an emergency, everyone just, you know, pulls back into the basic. And so like the tourism and entertainment and restaurants, all the fun parts of society just stopped for a while.
Sure.
Only what's going on right now is way, way worse.
What did you do then? What did you do at that point?
God, you know, that's really funny. I was a broke, starving artist college kid kind of phase of life at that point. So,
how many years ago was that? That was over 15 years ago, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So I was 2. I was 2 years old. No, I mean, I had just gone from basically waiting tables through college to starting to entertain people. So I could still make enough money as an entertainer to make up for a waitress income. And so for us, in some ways, it was like nothing changed. I had these plans, right? I had this vision board of making this bigger income and, you know, traveling around the world and doing performances. And, you know, I had all these, you know, 6-figure income, you know, magician, traveler, juggler, you know, whatever I was going to do. And it got wiped out. It was just gone. Yeah. And I was working for tips, making balloon animals in an Olive Garden. You know, rice and beans. So it's funny. Like, I've been here before. And, you know, so this is why I'm so resilient, because, like, God, I've been through so much crap. This has got to change. You know? Then I was pregnant with my first child when my husband was working as a carpenter when the real estate bubble burst. And his whole entire income was flipping one house after another for these flippers. He remodeled their houses. So literally the next day, my husband was out of work.
Wow.
Out of work. Like 90% of his business was gone the next day. And I was pregnant. And then, this is a great story though. The next day, my company, I had I had a job in advertising sales, and that company went under a couple months later. So we had our first child on the way, and our income went down by like over 60%, just like that.
Wow.
While I was pregnant. And we lived off credit cards back then. That was not cool. But I stayed home with my kid and put all the entertainment ideas that I had built up together. And when he was 6 months old, I put out my website and advertising, and within 3 months I'd made as much money as I'd had at my full-time job, and in 6 months of that I was making double that and more money. I was making as much as my husband and I had been making together at this business. So the same thing happened to me like 13 years ago. Well, he's 13 now, my oldest 13, where
Yeah.
where my income just disappeared because of an economic crisis, and I switched into a career that I had been wanting to get into, and it worked. So it's very funny that this has happened to me now.
I know.
I all of a sudden I'm in the exact same situation that I was in when I wanted to get into the entertainment, leave my job and work as an entertainer. And now I'm wanting to leave as an entertainer and be a real estate investor. And like the entertainment job is just gone. So now I have nothing else to do but this.
It seems like every time you have gone for that next level, there's always that, right? There's always what seems like resistance, right?
Yeah.
Every time you've said, I'm going up. Right. Yeah. Or catastrophe. Right. So, so here's that next level for you, right? It's that next level up.
Yeah.
Right? You have now that resistance kicking in, and here's your next level of moving on up. It's interesting. Yeah.
And that's probably why I started Friday almost in a panic. And by Saturday night, I was like, oh, this is all meant to be. Like this.
Yeah. You've been here before.
Like I just switched gears into my next phase and kind of like partied and cleaned up my house and was like, whew, I'm going to be a full-time real estate investor. Nothing. Right on. So now I'm really nervous. Now that I've said this, if you go post this, I've got to be successful. Or 6 months from now,
because everybody's watching.
That I'm going to do this. We're going to have some follow-up. Now it's do or die. We're going to make this. Told the whole world that.
There's a little more pressure for you, Sarah. A little bit more pressure for you.
Good. I needed more pressure. Oh my gosh. I'm going to go drink. Is it too early for a catastrophe?
Oh, I know. It's
on the beach because I need a sangria right now. Oh, Lord have mercy.
Oh, goodness.
All right, so there you go. There's my life story. I hope you're inspired by it.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. It was great. Thank you so much for taking the time and sharing this. You shared things about you that I didn't know. I knew the majority of it, but there were some parts there that I didn't know, especially about what I think was most interesting about your story is your resilience and how you've been here before. Right, this isn't new to you, and it seems like every time there's like, I'm gonna call it a setback, or maybe there's a different word for it. But every time that we're ready to go to that next level, there was like, okay, here's the wall you need to jump over, right? And now this is Corona wall, right? Yeah. And here's that that next level for you in your life, and I believe you'll achieve great things. I really do. I always have. I even told Mike when we first connected, I said, no, Sarah's going to do well in this business. She will. And he even confirmed it after the first call with you, after he chatted with you. So, yeah, it's good stuff. But I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, because I know it's going to inspire. It inspires a lot of people. I get a lot of messages. It's interesting how private the messages are. I find my audience so interesting because they're so private. I always get emails or messages or, hey, can we jump on a quick call? I just want to share something with you, a very private audience where people intimately share with me that how much either an email or a video or an interview like this really inspires them and it touches their life. So thank you so much for doing that, because it's, again, it's part of my life mission to, to not only inspire people, but get them to take some form of action. So can't do that alone. Your help in this interview really helps them out. Thank you.